Sometimes I still couldn't believe that I, Annisa Gobrowski, former member of a fairly uninspired cheer squad from New Jersey, was now a member of the greatest squad in the land. I stood on my tiptoes to see through the glass doors of the school. Sure enough, Casey Lawrence's blue Jeep Wrangler had just pulled into a space near the top of the parking lot. Together with the rest of the squad, I backed up under the light blue and yellow Pin 'em Crabs banner we had all worked on at Tara's house the night before. Suddenly, I felt someone's arms encircling my waist from behind. "Hey, Jersey," Daniel Healy whispered in my ear. My heart fluttered around in my chest as his warm breath made goosebumps pop out all over my skin. "Hey yourself," I replied over my shoulder, feeling oh so cutesy-coupley. Daniel, blonde, tan, and humana as ever, quickly smooched my cheek. Yes, my cheek. He was my very own hunk of boyfriendly perfection. Mine, all mine. Daniel was my very first boyfriend, and even better, this was going to be my very first Christmas with a boyfriend. That's right, the holiday to end all holidays was just around the corner, and with Daniel in my life, I had so much to look forward to. Kisses under the mistletoe, long walks in the snow, the sand. It was going to be perfection. When I had moved to Florida from New Jersey a couple months back, I had thought my life was pretty much over. But lately, things were seriously looking up. Daniel gave me a squeeze and whispered in my ear again, "I missed you." "You walked me to school 10 minutes ago," I told him, blushing. "Longest 10 minutes of my life," he replied. "Ugh, can you guys be any more dramatic?" Sage Bernard said, flipping her Jessica Simpson curls over her shoulder. "Spare us." Sage shot us an irritated scowl, as she always did whenever Daniel touched, kissed, or even breathed the same air as me, then moved to the other end of the squad line. I didn't know what her problem was. She and Daniel had been broken up for a couple months now, and she already had a new boyfriend, his older brother Christopher. I know, ick. "So, how does it feel to be a civilian?" I asked Daniel. "And to not be wearing a tie?" he said with a grin. "Darn good." Daniel was not in a shirt and tie like the rest of the wrestling team because he had recently quit so he could concentrate on his music, guitar to be exact. I was still proud of him for standing up to his father and Christopher, who was a senior and still on the team. Until this year, both Daniel and Christopher had played football in the fall, wrestled in the winter, and run track in the spring. They were so alike that Christopher's friends took to calling Daniel Mini Chris. But now that Daniel had found his own thing, they'd have to come up with a new nickname. "Here he is, Healy, back off," Tara demanded, thrusting one of her palms at him. Daniel instantly released me and took a few steps back, hands raised. Moments later, the glass door swung open and Casey Lawrence, superstar of the SDH wrestling team, walked in. Casey was on the short side. Good wrestlers often are, I'm told, something to do with center of gravity. But totally buff. He was perpetually tan, as most of the kids around here were, and you could see the green of his eyes from about a mile away. He also had long, blonde surfer hair that just grazed his shoulders. No wonder half the girls in the school seemed so ready to swoon at the sound of his name. He was definitely drool-inspiring. "Let's hear it for Casey, Junior Olympic Champion!" Tara shouted. Casey stopped in his tracks, trapped in the metaphorical spotlight. He clutched the strap of his backpack and stared at us all, stunned. "Casey! Casey! Casey!" everyone chanted, clapping to the beat. Finally, Casey ducked his head, waved, blushed, and smiled. Then Tara beckoned him over. "Speech!" she shouted. "Everyone wants to hear how you're going to lead the wrestling team to states this year." Cheers everywhere. Casey looked like he'd rather do anything but address the crowd, and my heart went out to him. Some people were just not down with public speaking, myself not included, but I guess that's obvious or I wouldn't be a cheerleader, choir member, and spring musical hopeful. Still, it seemed like a better idea to do what the masses wanted than to contradict dozens of shouting teenagers hopped up on Starbucks and sugar cereal. Eventually, he walked forward and stood next to Tara. The crowd was rapt. How am I going to lead the wrestling team to states this year?" he said, looking around. We waited anxiously. I guess we'll just win." He shrugged and everyone cracked up laughing, cheering some more. His teammates loved it and clapped louder than anyone. The crowd started to disperse as the wrestling team practically carried Casey out of the room. Daniel went along with them, all caught up in the testosterone of the moment, I'm sure. Tara looked at her friend and our teammate Phoebe Cook, and her shoulders slumped. "Well, that was worth all the effort," she said sarcastically.